Morning, one kids. We have the final part of Joseph's story this week. What are you doing?
Well, I've got this game. It's called Guess What's in the Sack.
Right, okay. Is it an umbrella?
No.
No. What about a football?
No.
Oh, this is a bit difficult. Can you give us a clue?
Well, okay. It's a prop that's going to help us to tell the end of this story.
I think I know what that is. Anyone else think they've guessed it too? Is it Benjamin's silver cup?
Yes, correct.
That is not a silver cup.
Oh, yeah, I know, but I just couldn't find a silver one, so this had to do.
Right. Shall we get on and finish the story? I need to know what happens to Joseph.
Well, so Joseph had ended up in prison, but he got himself quite a reputation as being a dream interpreter. God had helped him out again with this one.
One day, a couple of years later, the Pharaoh himself had a strange dream. He was desperate to know what it meant. His wine server, remember the guy from last week who Joseph helped understand his dream? Well, he had a brainwave. He quickly told Pharaoh that he knew a guy who could definitely tell him about his dream.
Wow. So Joseph found himself brought before the Pharaoh. I wonder if he was a little bit nervous. Anyway, Pharaoh filled Joseph in on the details of his dream. In his dream, Pharaoh was standing on the banks of the River Nile and he saw 7 rather well-fed cows come up out of the water and they stood munching on the grass. And then a little while later, he saw 7 sort of like slightly smaller cows who looked a little bit hungry. They also came up out of the water, but instead of munching on the grass like the other cows, they ate the bigger cows.
Well, so hang on, let me get this right. The 7 little cows ate the 7 big cows?
Yes.
Oh, so did Joseph know what the dream meant?
He certainly did. God helped him with this one again. Joseph told Pharaoh that his dream was talking about the food situation in Egypt. So for 7 years, the crops and the food would grow and they would have more than enough.
Wow.
But the next 7 years, nothing at all would grow and the people of Egypt would starve. And not only did Joseph know the meaning of the dreams, but he was able to give Pharaoh some really good advice. He told Pharaoh that they needed to work really hard to store the food during the first 7 years so that they would have plenty when there was none.
Wow. And Pharaoh was so impressed with Joseph's answer that he actually made him in charge of storing and saving Egypt's food. So Joseph became a seriously important man in Egypt.
So Joseph got out of prison.
Yep. And the next thing he knew, Joseph's brothers turned up looking to buy food because they had hardly any. They came and they begged at his feet to ask to buy some.
Wow, did they recognise Joseph?
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They couldn't have imagined that Joseph would end up in such a great position.
So did Joseph let them buy any food?
Yes, he did. It's a long story, but Joseph wanted to see if his brothers had changed or if they were still the mean guys who'd sold him years ago.
So how did they find that out?
Well, he got the workers to hide a silver cup in the top of Benjamin's food sack.
Ah.
And remember, Benjamin's the youngest of the brothers, and Jacob, his dad, loved him very much. Then when they travelled out of the city, Joseph got his servants to run after them and check their sacks. And of course, that's when they found the missing silver cup in Benjamin's sack.
Wow, so what happened to Benjamin?
Well, Joseph really wanted to see if they would try to save Benjamin or if they would treat him like they'd treated Joseph all those years ago. He wanted to see what they would do. Happily, the brothers had changed, and they begged Joseph not to punish Benjamin by keeping him in Egypt, but to let one of them take Benjamin's place.
Wow, so they really had changed. They wouldn't let Benjamin suffer after all.
Yes, and the story ends with Joseph telling his brothers who he really is and inviting them and their father and their families to live with him in Egypt.
Wow, what an amazing end to this story. I bet that Jacob was really amazed to find out that Joseph was alive after all.
Yeah, he was overjoyed. And Joseph was a man who trusted God, even through really difficult times, and God really blessed him for that faithfulness.
Wow. Well, thanks for listening, One Kids.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Bye.